How does Greek mythology begin? It starts with chaos, an endless void. From chaos, the primordial gods Gaia, the earth, Uranus, the sky, Tartarus, the abyss, and Eros, a force of love, emerged. But it was Gaia and Uranus who played the most crucial roles. Gaia and Uranus gave birth to powerful offspring, the mighty Titans, the one-eyed Cyclopes, and the terrifying Hecatonchires, giants with 100 hands. But Uranus, fearing their power, imprisoned them in Tartarus. Enraged by this betrayal, Gaia conspired with her son Titan Cronus. Armed with a sickle, Cronus ambushed his father, marking the first great conflict in Greek mythology. Cronus took his place as the ruler of the cosmos. But the cycle of betrayal didn't end there. Cronus, fearing that his children would overthrow him, began devouring them, setting the stage for the rise of Zeus and the Olympian gods, who did overthrow him and claimed the throne of the gods. The primordial gods who control the cycle of day and night. First come Nyx, the goddess who brings night, covering the world in darkness at the end of each day. After Nyx brings the night, comes Selene, the moon goddess who travels across the sky, decorating it with the light of the moon. After night, Eos, the goddess of dawn, rises each morning, painting the sky with the first light of day, announcing the end of night. As Eos signals the dawn, Hemera, the goddess of day, arrives, spreading the full light of day and chasing away the darkness. As the day unfolds, Ether, the god of bright upper air, fills the upper sky with pure, radiant light. Finally, Helios, the personification of sun, drives the sun across the sky, bringing warmth and light until night returns.
The eternal darkness of the primordial world. Erebus is an ancient Greek god of darkness, born from the chaos before the universe. He represents the deep, enveloping shadows that shrouded the world before creation. Erebus has a significant responsibility. He helps calm down a place called Tartarus, which becomes even darker and scarier when it becomes too wild. He is linked with Nyx, the night goddess, and together they spawned key forces of the cosmos like Ether, the bright upper air, and Hemera, day. Every day, Erebus's dark realm is pushed back by Hemera, allowing the sun to rise, symbolizing the eternal dance between night and day. His dark essence, like a thick fog or the mysterious shadows of night, sets the stage for the daily miracle of dawn.
Three mysterious sisters who control the fate of all. In Greek mythology, Moirai or Fates is a powerful trio of goddesses who control every human and god's birth, life, and death. The Fates are the daughters of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night, and Erebus, the god of darkness. However, some myths claim they are the daughters of Zeus and Themis, the goddess of justice. Regardless of their origins, their role is clear. Clotho spins the thread of life, Lachesis measures its course, and Atropos cuts it. No god, no mortal can escape their control, because fate is their domain, and even Zeus must obey.
Zeus versus Nyx. What makes Zeus fear this ancient goddess? Nyx is a powerful primordial goddess, representing the night and everything hidden in it. She is one of the most ancient deities who directly emerged from chaos. She had powerful offspring like Hypnos, the god of sleep, Thanatos, the god of death, and Moirai, the fates. Nyx holds absolute authority over the night and things that are mysterious and hidden. There's a story that shows how much Zeus respects Nyx, the goddess whose power even Zeus dared not provoke. Meet Nyx, the primordial goddess of the night. Here's what happened. Hypnos, the god of sleep and Nyx's son, dared to trick Zeus. He lulled Zeus to sleep so Hera could meddle in the Trojan War. When Zeus wakes up and realizes what Hypnos has done, he is furious. Zeus chased Hypnos across the heavens, determined to punish him. Hypnos fled in terror, but where did he go? Straight to the one being Zeus wouldn't dare challenge, his mother Nyx's cave, and Zeus stopped in his tracks. Why? Because Nyx's power was so immense and ancient that even the king of gods respected and feared her wrath. Hypnos was safe thanks to her. These children of Nyx are terrifying. Nyx, the goddess of the night, has offspring that represent some of the universe's darkest forces. First up is Thanatos, the embodiment of death. His silent touch means the end for mortals. Then next is Moros, the god of doom, bringing despair and hopelessness wherever he appears. Next is Nemesis, the goddess of divine retribution, ensuring no one escapes justice. Don't forget Eris, the goddess of strife, stirring up chaos everywhere she goes. Finally, there's the terrifying Kyries, spirits of violent death, looming over battlefields and waiting to claim souls. Uranus versus Zeus. Who was the real god of the sky? Uranus is the primordial god of the sky, born from Gaia, the goddess of earth. He represented the sky, and with Gaia, fathered various offspring, including the Titans, Cyclopes, and Hecatonchires. On the other hand, Zeus is the god of the sky and thunder, and the king of all gods and humans. He is a second-generation deity, born to the Titan Cronus and Rhea. So, Uranus is the original primordial sky god, while Zeus is the more active ruler of the sky known from Greek tales and worship. How did Zeus get his thunderbolts? During Titanomachy, the epic battle between the Olympians and the Titans, the story says that the Cyclopes were set free by Zeus from a dark place called Tartarus. The Cyclopes gave Zeus the lightning bolts to thank them for their freedom. They also gave gifts to his brothers. Poseidon got a trident, and Hades got a helm of darkness. These gifts helped the gods win against the Titans. Later, Zeus used these bolts to punish mortals like King Salmoneus and beat powerful enemies like Typhon. Thunderbolts in particular symbolized Zeus's power and authority as the king of the gods. Using bolts, Zeus can also control natural elements such as weather, making it stormy and lightning by throwing his bolts. Zeus isn't the only Greek god of thunder. Let's meet the others. First, there is Brontes, the Thunderer, a mighty cyclops and god of thunder through his craft. Brontes forged Zeus's thunderbolts. His hammer strikes echoing like storms, symbolizing his command over thunder. We also have Steropes, the Cyclope with lightning-eyed. With his piercing gaze and power over lightning, Steropes wields thunder alongside Brontes. Together, they create Zeus's weapons, infusing each one with their mastery of storms. Finally, the most important, Keraunos, the living thunderbolt. Known as the god who embodies thunder itself, Keraunos is pure, untamed power. Every bolt of Zeus's lightning carries his force, making him a true force of destruction and fury.
The 12 Olympian gods are a central part of Greek mythology. They resided on Mount Olympus and were considered the principal deities. Here's an explanation of each. 1. Zeus, the most powerful of the Olympian gods, often depicted with a thunderbolt in hand. Zeus is the ruler of Mount Olympus and presides over the affairs of gods and humans. 2. Hera. Hera is Zeus's wife, sister, and queen of the gods. She is the goddess of marriage, women, childbirth, and family. She is known for her jealousy and often punishes Zeus's lovers and their offspring. 3. Poseidon. Poseidon is the god of the sea, earthquakes, storms, and horses. He is powerful and moody, capable of creating storms and earthquakes. He is often depicted holding a trident. 4. Demeter. She is the goddess of agriculture, harvest, fertility, and sacred law. Demeter is associated with the fertility of the earth and the cycle of life and death. 5. Athena. Athena is a warrior goddess associated with wisdom, courage, warfare strategy, and crafts. She is a patron of Athens and represents strategic warfare and wisdom. 6. Apollo. Apollo is a god of the sun, music, poetry, healing, and prophecy. He is associated with the Oracle of Delphi and is known for his musical talent and healing powers. 7. Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, wilderness, moon, and archery. Artemis is a virgin goddess, protector of women and children, and a skilled hunter. She is often depicted with a bow and accompanied by animals. 8. Ares, the god of war, violence, and bloodshed. Ares is known for his aggressive and tumultuous nature. 9. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, desire, and fertility. Aphrodite is born from sea foam and embodies beauty and passion. She has numerous lovers, both mortal and divine. 10. Hephaestus. Hephaestus is a god of fire, metalworking, and craftsmanship. He is the blacksmith of the gods who created many of their weapons and tools. 11. Hermes, the god of commerce, thieves, and travel. The messenger of the gods. Hermes is known for his speed and cunning. He guides souls to the underworld. 12. Dionysus. He is the god of wine, fertility, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, and theater. Additionally, there are two more important deities. Hestia, the goddess of the hearth, home, and domesticity. Hades, the god of the underworld and the dead.
How was the goddess Athena born? It all started when Zeus swallowed his first wife, Metis, the goddess of wisdom and craft, when she was pregnant. Why? Because a prophecy from Gaia warned him that her child could overthrow him. At first, all seemed fine, until Zeus got the worst headache of his immortal life. Unable to bear the pain, he called for help, and Hephaestus, the god of smithing, stepped in. With a mighty swing of his hammer, crack, he split Zeus's head open. And then, in a blaze of divine glory, Athena emerged, fully grown, clad in shining armor, and ready to become the goddess of wisdom and war. How is Athena connected to owls? Athena, the wise and mighty goddess, graced the beautiful city of Athens with her presence. One night, while walking on the outskirts of Athens, Athena heard a soft sound. It was the owl, looking very wise with its sharp eyes. Athena felt a connection with the owl because it could see clearly in the dark, just like she could see the truth in confusing situations. Impressed by the owl's quiet wisdom, Athena chose it as her special symbol. The people of Athens saw that Athena loved the owl, so they started putting pictures of the owl on their coins. As time passed, everyone started to see the owl as a symbol of wisdom linked with the goddess of wisdom. Remember when Hera threw her baby off Mount Olympus just because he was ugly? Hera was jealous when Zeus gave birth to Athena all by himself. To get back at him, she decided to have a child on her own. She used a magical herb and became pregnant. But when Hephaestus was born, he didn't look as beautiful as his siblings. He had a hairy body and crooked legs. Horrified by his appearance, Hera threw baby Hephaestus from Mount Olympus into the sea. Luckily, he was saved and raised by sea nymphs. Despite his rough start, Hephaestus grew up to be an amazing blacksmith. He loved playing with lava and fire, which helped him become skilled at creating incredible weapons and beautiful art for the gods. As he grew older, Hephaestus didn't forget what Hera did to him. He crafted a magical throne and sent it to her as a gift. When she sat on it, she was trapped and couldn't get up. The other gods had to beg Hephaestus to free her, showing that he had the power to get even. Even though his birth was difficult and he faced many challenges, Hephaestus's talent made him important among the gods.
The saddest goddess goddess from ancient Greece? Once Poseidon, the powerful god of the sea, desired Demeter, the beautiful goddess of harvest, but Demeter resisted him. Demeter turns into a mare and hides in a cave, but Poseidon also becomes a horse and finds her. From this tragic union, Despoina, a baby girl, and a creature Aryan were born. Demeter, filled with shame and sorrow, abandoned Despoina. The young goddess grew up in isolation, filled with anger and loneliness. No one cared for her like other gods. Her cold powers began to grow stronger as her heart hardened, causing harsh and chaotic winters. But when Despoina met her sister Persephone didn't turn away. For the first time, Despoina felt loved by someone, melting the anger that had grown inside her for so long. Despoina also found her life partner Boreas, the god of the north wind and winter. Boreas didn't fear her coldness and accepted and embraced it.
How did Hera agree to marry her brother Zeus? Zeus, the king of gods, really liked Hera, who was very beautiful and proud. But Hera didn't like Zeus due to his multiple affairs and toxic ego. Zeus came up with a clever plan. He turned himself into a tiny, poor swallow that seemed to be caught in a bad storm and went where Hera was. Hera took pity on the little bird and held it to her soft and warm hands. In that tender moment, Zeus revealed his majestic form, surprising Hera. This sincere devotion softened Hera's heart, and she accepted Zeus's proposal. Their magnificent wedding began their rule over the gods and the earth. The most famous playboy of Greek myths, Zeus, the mighty king of gods, often found himself tangled in romantic adventures. One of his famous escapades involved a beautiful Leda, disguised as a graceful swan. Zeus won Leda's affection, and their union led to the birth of Helen of Troy and heroic twins. Another time, Zeus saw a Phoenician princess Europa and was so taken by her beauty that he turned into a charming bull and took her to an unknown island, changing her life forever. Once, he turned himself into a golden shower to meet an Argive princess Danae, who was locked in a tower. From this union, the hero Perseus was born. Zeus also liked the priestess of his wife Hera named Io. To avoid Hera's wrath, he covered the world with thick clouds. But when Hera got suspicious, Zeus turned Io into a cow to keep her hidden. Once, Zeus disguised himself as King Amphitryon to be with his wife Alcmene. Their union led to the birth of the famous hero Hercules. Even goddesses couldn't escape Zeus's attention. With Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, he had a daughter named Persephone. Hades versus Thanatos. Who is the real god of death? Hades is the god of the underworld and the ruler of the dead. He oversees all aspects of the afterlife and the souls of the deceased. The underworld includes Elysium, the paradise for heroes, Asphodel Meadows for ordinary souls, and Tartarus, the place of punishment. Hades is often depicted as stern and just, ensuring the balance of life and death. On the other hand, Thanatos is the personification of death itself. He represents the act of dying and is responsible for peacefully guiding souls to the underworld. Thanatos doesn't rule the underworld, but operates within it. He is only concerned with a moment of death and the transition of souls. Why is Hades the ruler of the underworld? After defeating the Titans in the Titanomachy, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades divided the cosmos. By mutual agreement, Zeus claimed the sky, Poseidon the sea, and Hades received the underworld. As the ruler of the underworld, also named Hades, he oversees the afterlife with a stern yet necessary hand. Hades also owns a helm of darkness, a powerful artifact from the Cyclopes that makes him invisible. One famous story about Hades is that once he fell in love with goddess Persephone and forcibly took her to his kingdom. This caused goddess Demeter, her mom, to mourn and neglect the earth, leading to the creation of the seasons. Over time, Persephone accepted her role as a queen of the underworld. Hades has notable creatures like Cerberus, a three-headed dog guarding the gates, and Charon, the boatman who ferries souls across the river Styx for a coin. Despite his fearsome reputation, Hades is a just ruler, maintaining essential order and balance between life and death. Why is Hades the most misunderstood Greek god? Mostly Hades pictures as a tyrant underworld ruler, but the truth is, he's anything but evil. Even Hades didn't choose to rule the dead and underworld. He drew lots with his brothers, Zeus and Poseidon, to divide the realms. While others saw the underworld as dark and grim, Hades took his role seriously, valuing justice and balance. Unlike his brothers, Zeus, who is infamous for his countless affairs, and Poseidon, notorious for assaulting many women like Medusa, Hades remained loyal to his wife, Persephone, and only cheated once with a nymph named Mintha in mythology. Hades wielded the helm of darkness, which made him invisible, and he also owned all the precious metals and gemstones beneath the earth. Unlike other gods, he wasn't interested in fame or glory, and preferred to value justice and order in his realm of deads. Why did Hermes kill Argus, a hundred-eyed giant? One day, Zeus, the king of the gods, fell in love with a beautiful priestess named Io. To keep his affair secret from his wife Hera, Zeus changed Io into a white cow. But Hera was very clever and figured something was off. She asked Zeus to give her the cow as a gift, and Zeus couldn't say no. Hera put Argus in charge to keep an eye on Io. Argus did his job well, watching Io closely with his many eyes. Feeling sorry for Io, Zeus sent his son Hermes to rescue her. Hermes came up with a plan. He disguised himself as a shepherd suffered and went to Argus. Hermes started to tell stories and play soothing tunes on his flute. The music and stories were so calming that eventually all of Argus's 100 eyes fell asleep. Hermes quickly hit his staff into his head, ending Argus's life. Hera was sad about losing Argus, so she honored him by putting his eyes on the tail of her peacock.
The goddess of love wasn't born from love itself. Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love and desire, wasn't born from a loving embrace, but from a violent act. According to the myth, Uranus, the sky god, was castrated by his son Cronus, and his severed genitals fell into the sea. From the foam that gathered around them, Aphrodite emerged, fully grown and radiant. It wasn't a gentle birth, but it led to her becoming the powerful goddess of love and beauty.
What happened when the goddess of love fell in love? Adonis was a handsome mortal who caught everyone's eye. One day, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, saw Adonis and fell in love with him, but there was a problem. Persephone, goddess of spring and underworld queen, also has a secret crush on Adonis, creating a big rivalry among the both goddesses. This rivalry made things tense, and Ares, the god of war and Aphrodite's jealous lover, made a plan. He sent a wild boar to attack Adonis, and sadly, Adonis was killed. Aphrodite was heartbroken. In her grief, she turned Adonis into a beautiful anemone flower, so his beauty would live on. But that's not the end. Aphrodite asked Zeus to bring Adonis back. Zeus agreed, but only if Adonis spent half the year with Aphrodite and the other half with Persephone. Persephone made excuses to Hades, saying she needed Adonis as a servant, but she secretly enjoyed his company, and that's...
Eos, the most beautiful and seductive Greek goddess of dawn, fell deeply in love with a mortal named Tithonus. Driven by lust, she abducted him, and the two ended up living together. But Eos was afraid that Tithonus would die. Desperate to be with him forever, she asked Zeus to grant him immortality. But Zeus, with his cruel sense of humor, granted her wish with a devastating twist. Tithonus would live forever, but he would continue to age, a curse disguised as a gift. As centuries passed, Tithonus withered into a broken shell of a man, his mind lost to time. Eos, once captivated by his beauty, now lived in eternal torment, forced to witness his endless suffering. In the end, Tithonus is transformed into a cicada, which is why the cicada makes a noise at dawn. It is a sound of Tithonus begging for death from Eos, the sleeping beauty in Greek mythology. But that is not a woman. The time when a moon goddess fell in love with a mortal. Selene, the radiant moon goddess, gazes down from the heavens every night. Among all the mortals, one man stands out, Endymion, a shepherd whose beauty is said to rival the stars. Selene couldn't resist. Every night she descended from the sky, watching Endymion as he slept. But her love came with a price. She asked Zeus to grant him eternal sleep so his beauty would never fade. With Endymion in eternal slumber, Selene visited him every night, her love illuminating the earth with her moonlight. Zeus, moved by her devotion, granted Endymion eternal youth in his sleep. Though he never woke, their love transcended time and the heavens, forever woven into the tapestry of the night sky. It's said that even now, when the moon is full, Selene watches over him.
Why does the goddess of spring love autumn? Persephone, the goddess of spring, spends half the year in the underworld. When autumn arrives, it's the sign that she's returning to the underworld, leaving the earth behind. But here's the twist. She loves this season of change. Autumn marks her return to the underworld, and it's not just about duty. Persephone is reunited with Hades, the god of the dead, her powerful and enigmatic partner. It's a season of love and balance. For her, autumn isn't an ending. It's a homecoming. Away from her beloved husband, she longs for him. But in autumn, she returns to where she truly belongs. In the underworld, Persephone isn't just the goddess of spring. She becomes a powerful queen, ruling alongside Hades. Her time in the underworld makes her stronger, embracing life and death. Autumn symbolizes her transition into this powerful, darker side, where she controls the cycle of life from beneath the earth.
The dark love story of Hades and Persephone. Persephone was a beautiful goddess of spring, and the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of harvest. One day, while she was picking flowers, the ground suddenly opened. In a flash, Hades emerged from the chasm. Hades, captivated by Persephone's beauty, fell deeply in love with her, and swiftly pulled her into his dark realm, desiring her as his queen. As Persephone was kidnapped, her mother Demeter roamed the earth in despair. Her sorrow caused the crops to wither, plunging the world into a perpetual winter. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Persephone was frightened by her new surroundings, but Hades treated her with respect. Hades also offered Persephone a pomegranate, and she ate 6 seeds of it, unknowingly binding herself to the underworld. Zeus, seeing Demeter's grief, negotiated with Hades, who agreed to let Persephone return to the surface for part of the year. This compromise led to the creation of the seasons: winter when she's with Hades and spring, and summer when she's with Demeter.
How a gardener turned into an owl. Ascalaphus was a gardener of the underworld and tended to the dark gardens. Once Hades, god of the underworld, had kidnapped Persephone while she was picking flowers in a meadow and made her his wife and queen of the underworld. Ascalaphus observed all of this from the shadows. He also witnessed a moment no one else saw: Persephone eating 6 pomegranate seeds. Ascalaphus couldn't keep the secret to himself. He told the goddess Demeter about Persephone's act, and his betrayal didn't go unnoticed. Furious, Persephone cursed him. In a flash, Ascalaphus transformed into a screeching owl, a symbol of doom and misfortune. And that's how Ascalaphus, once a servant, became an eternal symbol of bad luck just for revealing a secret.
Hades even betrayed his wife Persephone. Hades and Persephone's love was intense and full of passion. But Hades once had an old relationship with Mintha, a beautiful nymph from the river Cocytus. When Persephone entered Hades' life, he left Mintha behind to be with his new queen. However, when Persephone was away, Hades found himself drawn back to Mintha, spending time with her again. Hades betrayed the trust of his beloved Persephone. When Persephone discovered Hades' secret affair, she was devastated. In her anger, Persephone took swift action. She turned Mintha into a mint plant, ensuring that she could never come between them again. After that, the ancient Greeks began placing mint on the bodies of their dead, believing that the scent would travel to the underworld, reaching Mintha to her beloved Hades. A queen who falls in love with a bull? Sounds wild, right? But that's exactly what happened to Pasiphae, the queen of Crete, cursed by the god Poseidon. Why? Poseidon sent the magnificent white bull to King Minos to sacrifice as a sign of his favor and to test Minos' loyalty. But Minos, captivated by the bull's beauty, chose to keep it alive and sacrificed another bull. This act extremely angered the sea god, and Poseidon cursed Minos' wife Pasiphae to fall in love with that bull. When the queen's desire for that bull grew so intense, she ordered the craftsman to build a giant wooden cow. After that, she climbed inside, and when the bull came to mate, she finally got what she wanted. But the result was shocking. Pasiphae gave birth to a creature like no other, a half-man, half-bull monster known as the Minotaur. King Minos kept this twisted creature locked away in a massive labyrinth, where it terrorized the kingdom for years. The tragic love of Apollo and Hyacinthus. Apollo was the handsome god of the sun, and very talented at playing the lyre. One day while traveling, Apollo saw Hyacinthus, a very good-looking Spartan prince. Apollo fell in love with him at first sight, and they quickly became best friends. Apollo taught Hyacinthus how to play the lyre and how to throw a discus, while Hyacinthus made Apollo laugh and feel young again. However, Zephyrus, the god of the west wind, also liked Hyacinthus and felt very jealous of Apollo. One day, while Apollo and Hyacinthus were playing with the discus, Apollo threw it with great strength, and Hyacinthus ran to catch it. At that moment, Zephyrus blew a strong gust of wind that made the discus veer off its path and hit Hyacinthus' head. Apollo held Hyacinthus in his arms, trying to save him with his godly powers, but it was too late. Apollo cried tears of sorrow, and from where his tears and Hyacinthus' blood touched the ground, a beautiful new flower grew. This flower was named the hyacinth. A man who loved himself to death. Narcissus was a wonderful man, born to the nymph Liriope and the river god Cephissus. His striking appearance captivated both men and women. As a child, his mother, Liriope, sought out the renowned oracle Tiresias to uncover his future. The oracle warned,
"He was destined for a long life if he never came to know himself."
One day, Narcissus caught the attention of Echo, a nymph cursed by Hera who could only repeat the words of others. Narcissus, however, rejected her, leaving Echo heartbroken and fading into a mere voice in the forest. Also, Narcissus mocked the love of a devoted young man, Amenias. Amenias, in grief, prayed to Nemesis, the goddess of revenge, and she heard his plea. Narcissus found a clear pond, and seeing his reflection, fell deeply in love. Entranced, he gazed endlessly until his obsession consumed him, and he withered away, and his body transformed into flowers. What was inside the Pandora's box? Pandora was the first woman, created by the god Hephaestus on orders from Zeus. Each god gave her unique gifts. Aphrodite gave her beauty, Athena endowed her with intelligence, and Hermes blessed her with charm. Pandora married Epimetheus, a titan, and Zeus gave her a special wedding gift box, but warned her never to open it. Despite being warned, Pandora's curiosity overwhelmed her, and one day she opened it. All sorts of bad things like sickness, aging, poverty, death, and sadness escaped and spread into the world. Pandora was shocked and regretful, and quickly closed the box, but it was too late. The harms were already done. However, there was one good thing left in the box: hope. The most underrated hero in Greek mythology, Cadmus, the son of King Agenor, was sent on a mission to find his sister, Europa, who Zeus had abducted. But after endless searching, he was told by the Oracle of Delphi to abandon the quest and follow a special cow to find a new land and build a city there. Cadmus found a cow and followed it to the uninhabited land. Cadmus faces a fierce dragon there and bravely slayed the beast, and then, following Athena's guidance, planted the dragon's teeth. From these teeth, warriors sprang up from the earth. After a fierce battle among them, only 5 survived, and they became the founders of Thebes alongside Cadmus. Cadmus may be overshadowed, but his legacy stands strong in the walls of Thebes. Why did Hercules kill his own family? Hercules, the hero known for his incredible strength and bravery, was the son of the god Zeus and a mortal woman named Alcmene. Hera, Zeus's wife, extremely disliked him because he was a constant reminder of Zeus's affair. In her envy, Hera sent a wave of madness upon him. In this state, when Hercules returned to his home, he found that terrifying wolves attacking his family. In his madness, he killed them all. When the madness was gone, Hercules realized that he had killed his own family. Filled with unbearable grief and guilt, he went to the Oracle of Delphi, who told him that he must serve King Eurystheus and complete 12 nearly impossible tasks, known as the labors of Hercules, as a form of penance for his terrible crime.
The 12 labors of Hercules explained. 1. Slay the Nemean lion. 2. Slay the 9-headed Lernaean hydra. 3. Capture the golden hind of Artemis. 4. Capture the Erymanthian boar. 5. Clean the Augean stables in a single day. 6. Slay the Stymphalian birds. 7. Capture the Cretan bull. 8. Steal the mares of Diomedes. 9. Obtain the girdle of Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. 10. Capture the cattle of Geryon, the multi-headed giant. 11. Steal the apples of the Hesperides. 12. Capture Cerberus, the 3-headed dog.
How Hercules defeat Geryon, the terrifying multi-headed giant. Once, Heracles, the brave hero, embarked on a quest to fulfill his 10th labor, the theft of the red cattle of Geryon, one of his 12 labors assigned by King Eurystheus. On his adventure, he reached the island of Erythea, where he first encountered Orthrus, a fearsome 2-headed dog. Hercules quickly overcame Orthrus with great strength, ensuring the dog was no longer a danger. Next, he met a herdsman named Eurytion, who looked after the cows. Eurytion tried to stop Hercules, but Hercules was too powerful for him and kept going. The biggest challenge came when Hercules faced Geryon, a terrifying giant with 3 heads. The battle between Heracles and Geryon was fierce, but Hercules was smart and used his strength, but Geryon was also powerful. Finally, Heracles used his poisoned arrows given to him by his teacher Chiron and shot them at Geryon. Geryon fell on the ground and died. After this, Hercules collected all the red cows and returned to his home. The dirtiest task Hercules ever did. Greek demigod Hercules is known for slaying terrifying monsters, but his filthiest challenge? Cleaning up King Augeas' stables, a place so disgusting, it was legendary. Imagine this, thousands of cows, years of manure, and one man with a deadline. Now, Hercules wasn't about to grab a shovel and spend weeks scooping manure. No way. Instead, he had a genius idea. He diverted 2 entire rivers. Water came rushing through, blasting years of filth away in a single day. It was the ultimate power wash, ancient Greek style. But King Augeas wasn't happy. Jealous of Hercules' success, he refused to pay the promised reward. Turns out, this wasn't just a dirty job, it was a dirty trick. Yet, Hercules' legend only grew while the king's jealousy was forgotten. The time when Titan Atlas tried to fool Hercules, Hercules faced one of his most challenging labors, retrieving the golden apples of the Hesperides. These divine fruits were guarded in a secret garden by a fierce dragon, Ladon. Hercules sought out Atlas, the Titan condemned to hold up the sky. Hercules proposed a deal. If Atlas retrieved the apples, Hercules would hold the sky in his place. Atlas agreed eagerly. Relieved of his heavy load, Atlas set off and soon returned with the golden apples. Feeling the freedom he'd long craved, Atlas decided he had no intention of resuming his old position. Instead, he planned to take the apples to King Eurystheus himself, leaving Hercules to hold the sky forever. Realizing Atlas's trickery, Hercules quickly devised a plan. Pretending to agree to Atlas's new proposal, he asked Atlas to hold the sky again for a moment while he adjusted. Atlas, unsuspecting, took back the sky. With a swift move, Hercules grabbed the apples and made his escape. The epic showdown of Hercules with Cerberus the 3-headed dog. After completing his 11 difficult tasks, Hercules had to face his toughest challenge yet. He had to bring back Cerberus, the scary 3-headed dog guarding the entrance to the underworld. Hercules went down into the dark underworld, a scary realm where all souls go upon death. There, he asked Hades, the king of the underworld, if he could take Cerberus to the land of the living. Hades said yes, but Hercules had to catch Cerberus with his bare hands. Hercules found Cerberus, and the big fight began. Cerberus was fierce, with each of its 3 heads trying to bite Hercules, but Hercules was strong and smart. He moved quickly to avoid the bites, and finally grabbed Cerberus tightly, showing his amazing strength and courage. With Cerberus gently in his control, Hercules walked out of the underworld. When he got back, even Eurystheus, the king who had given Hercules all these tough jobs, was surprised and a bit scared to see the mighty Cerberus. Finally, Hercules completed his all tasks that seemed impossible, proved he was a true hero. The tragic death of Hercules. Deianira, the wife of Hercules, loved him very much but was always afraid of losing him. When Hercules started showing interest in another woman named Iole, day, Deianira felt very insecure. In her worry, Deianira remembered a gift from Nessus, a centaur who had been defeated by Hercules. Nessus had tricked her, telling her his blood could make a love potion, but in fact, it was poisoned blood made with the venom of a fierce monster, the Hydra, which Hercules had defeated before. Thinking she could win back Hercules' love, Deianira put the potion on a robe and sent it to Hercules. When Hercules wore the robe, it stuck to his skin and hurt him terribly because of the poison. Unable to bear the pain, Hercules built a big fire and lay down on it, asking for it to be lit. As the fire burned, it destroyed both Hercules' pain and his mortal body. After his death, Hercules was welcomed on Mount Olympus, where he married Hebe, goddess of youth.
Why Zeus ordered Kratos to punish Prometheus. Prometheus was a kind titan who cared a lot about humans. He saw that humans were cold and struggling without fire, so he decided to help. He sneaked up to Mount Olympus, stole fire, and gave it to humans. This fire was a game changer. It helped people see in the dark, stay warm, and cook their food. But Zeus, the king of gods, didn't like what Prometheus did. Zeus ordered Kratos, the god of strength, to tie up Prometheus with strong chains to a big rock. Every day, an eagle would eat Prometheus's flesh. The crazy part? Prometheus's body would heal back every night, and the bird would return the next day to do it all over again. This horrible punishment went on until Hercules killed that bird and freed Prometheus from this torment.
A man who chained the death itself. Sisyphus was a clever king of Corinth. One day, he saw Zeus disguised as an eagle, kidnapping the nymph Aegina. Sisyphus, ever the opportunist, revealed this to Aegina's father, the river god Asopus, in exchange for a freshwater spring for his city. Zeus, furious with Sisyphus for meddling, sent Thanatos, the god of death, to capture Sisyphus. But Sisyphus was super smart and managed to trap Thanatos instead. With death chained, no one on earth could die. Ares, the god of war, annoyed by the disruption, freed Thanatos and took Sisyphus to the underworld. However, Sisyphus was too clever. He tricked Persephone, the queen of the underworld, and sneaked back to Earth. His freedom didn't last long. Hermes, the messenger god, saw him and took him right back to the underworld. Hades, furious with Sisyphus, condemned him to an eternal punishment. Sisyphus was tasked with pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill, but every time Sisyphus almost reached the top, the rock would roll back down. So, Sisyphus had to keep trying over and over again forever.
Remember when Zeus turns two dwarves into monkeys? Meet the Cercopes, two troublemaking twins always up to no good. Their favorite pastime? Playing pranks on the gods and mortals alike. One day, the Cercopes had a cunning plan. They spotted Heracles while he was sleeping and decided to steal his weapons. Sneaking up, they thought they were clever, until Heracles woke up. Furious, he caught the twins in the act, tied them to a pole, and carried them on his shoulders. But the pranksters, never missing a beat, started joking about Heracles' hairy back, laughing all the way. Amused by their jokes, even Heracles couldn't stay angry for long. But the gods were watching. Tired of their endless mischief, Zeus decided to teach them a lesson. With a thunderous flash, the Cercopes transformed into monkeys. And that's why monkeys are known for their naughty behavior.
Why does this man eat himself? Erysichthon was the meanest king of Thessaly. Once he ventured into the forest with his soldiers to get some strong wood because he wanted to build a grand feast hall. They found a massive, beautiful tree that seemed magical. But suddenly, a tree nymph named Hamadryades appeared, warning Erysichthon that the tree was sacred to the goddess Demeter. But the king, full of arrogance, ordered the tree of Demeter's grove to be felled. The nymph tried to stop him, but Erysichthon struck her with his axe and killed her. In her rage, Demeter called upon Limos, the goddess of hunger. Now Limos is attached to the Erysichthon to punish him. No matter how much he ate, his hunger only grew stronger. Erysichthon feasted on everything in his kingdom, the finest foods, the richest meats, sold his property, and yet nothing satisfied him. Erysichthon even attempted to devour his daughter Merope, but she transformed into a butterfly and escaped. With nothing left to sell, consumed by the curse, Erysichthon did something terrible. He ate himself. The most unlucky woman. Cassandra was a charming princess from Troy. She was wonderful and wise. One day, Apollo, the god of prophecy, struck by her beauty, fell in love with her and offered her a gift, the ability to see the future. But when Cassandra doesn't return to love Apollo, Apollo gets very angry and curses her that no one would believe her prophecies. From then, Cassandra's life became full of sad truths that she knew about but couldn't stop. She told the people of Troy not to trust the Greeks who gave them a big wooden horse as a gift, but no one listened to her. They thought she was crazy. That night, Greek soldiers hiding inside the horse came out and destroyed the city. After the city fell, Cassandra ran to a temple hoping to be safe, but a Greek warrior named Ajax found her in the temple and took her away by force, which made the gods angry and caused more problems for the Greeks. Later, King Agamemnon took her to his home as a prize of war. Even there, she saw that Agamemnon and she would be killed by his wife Clytemnestra and her new partner Aegisthus, and sadly, this came true. A queen who turns into a dog. Hecuba was was the Queen of Troy, a mother and a symbol of resilience. But after the fall of Troy, her world turned into a nightmare. She watched her children slaughtered, her city burned to ashes, and her life reduced to nothing. Captured by the Greeks, Hecuba was enslaved and forced to serve her enemies. But her breaking point came when she discovered her son, Polydorus, had been murdered by King Polymestor. Polymestor, entrusted to protect Polydorus, killed him for the gold he carried. Consumed by rage, Hecuba sought vengeance. She confronted Polymestor and blinded him, tearing at him with her own hands. But the gods, moved by her immense suffering, transformed her into a dog. In this form, she roamed the land, a haunting reminder of the unimaginable pain she endured. A king with an ass's ears? It all started when gold lover King Midas was chosen to judge a music contest between Apollo, the god of music, and Pan, a woodland god. Midas, in a shocking move, declared Pan the winner. Apollo, furious that Midas chose Pan over him, decided to teach Midas a lesson. With just a wave of his hand, Apollo cursed Midas with a humiliating punishment: donkey ears. Midas was so ashamed of his new donkey ears that he hid them under a hat. But one day, his barber discovered the secret. Sworn to silence, the barber couldn't hold it in. He dug a hole and whispered, and from that spot, crops grew, spreading the secret "Midas has ass's ears" to the world.
The real gold digger from ancient Greece. Arnesithanes was a noble and respected princess of an ancient island named Achaea. One day, King Minos of Crete wanted to expand his power and decided to conquer Achaea. Minos offered Arne 20 ships full of gold in exchange for her loyalty, and she couldn't resist. Breathable Arne betrayed her people by revealing the secrets of her troops to Minos so his army could launch an attack. Poseidon, the god of the sea, was furious at Arne's greed and betrayal, transforming Arne into a jackdaw, a black-winged, black-footed bird obsessed with shiny golden objects. So her greed would never be satisfied for eternity.
Why did Ares turn a man into the first rooster? It all starts with Ares sneaking away to meet Aphrodite, and he needs one thing: someone to keep watch. That's where Electryon comes in, a young warrior with a simple job: stay awake and warn them if anyone approaches. But as Ares and Aphrodite meet in secret, Electryon makes one fatal mistake. At night, he dozes off, and just like that, Helios, the sun god, rises, catching Ares and Aphrodite in the act. Ares wakes up to the sight of daylight and realizes what happened. Electryon failed his one job. There's no mercy here. Ares immediately decides to punish him. In his rage, Ares transforms Electryon into a rooster, forever cursed to crow at dawn to warn of the sun's arrival. From that day on, roosters have been calling out every morning, a reminder of Electryon's failure.
A man who dared to fuck Zeus's wife. Ixion, the rude king of Thessaly, was furious at Zeus because Zeus once banged his wife. One day, after a heated argument with his father-in-law over some horses, Ixion resorted to a cruel trick. He invited his father-in-law to dinner and then pushed him into a fiery pit, committing a horrific act that turned Ixion into an outcast. Zeus felt a twinge of pity for him to invite Ixion to Mount Olympus. However, Ixion wasn't grateful. Instead, he started eyeing Zeus's wife, Hera. When Zeus discovered Ixion's intentions, he created a cloud in the shape of Hera named Nephele, and Ixion attempted to seduce it, leading to the birth of the centaurs. On Earth, Ixion claimed that he fucked Zeus's wife. Enraged by Ixion's audacity, Zeus struck him with a powerful lightning bolt, and then instructed Hermes, the messenger god, to bind Ixion to a fiery wheel. This flaming wheel was sent to Tartarus, where Ixion would burn forever.
How did a dolphin save Arion from certain death? Arion, a famous musician from ancient Greece, was returning home after winning a big performance. But his journey turned dark when the sailors decided to rob him and throw him overboard. Before being thrown overboard, Arion asked for one last request: to play his lyre. As he strummed, the music echoed across the waves, and soon dolphins gathered around, enchanted by the sound. As Arion plunged into the ocean, he thought it was the end, but a dolphin appeared. The dolphin lifted Arion onto its back and carried him safely to shore.
Medusa was actually not a villain. Medusa was a beautiful maiden who served in the sacred temple of Athena, the virgin goddess of wisdom. Medusa's features were so stunning that they caught the eye of many suitors, and unfortunately, the gaze of Poseidon, the powerful god of the sea. Poseidon did something very bad to her in the temple of Athena. Instead of getting angry at Poseidon, Athena became furious at Medusa and turned her into a monster with snakes for hair and eyes that turned people to stone. This change was a harsh punishment. Medusa was sent away to a lonely island, where later she killed by the so-called hero Perseus. She didn't start as a monster. She was made one by others who were more powerful.
Medusa was the real villain, and she wasn't cursed. In Hesiod's Theogony, Medusa wasn't cursed. She was born monstrous. Her parents, Phorcys and Ceto, were ancient sea gods. Unlike her Gorgon sisters, Stheno and Euryale, Medusa was the only mortal Gorgon. Medusa was a relentless monster who turned anyone who looked at her into stone, spreading fear and death wherever she existed. Later, the Romans changed her story. They said she was was a victim, cursed by Athena after being raped by Poseidon. But if that's true, why wasn't she ugly like her sisters? The original Greek myths don't mention Athena or a curse, even though Perseus killed her. Her severed head became a weapon for Perseus. Eventually, he gave it to Athena, who placed it on her shield, the Aegis. So here's the truth. Medusa was born a monster, not a victim. The Romans twisted her story, but she was always the villain in the original myth.
What will happen if Medusa decides to avenge Athena? Medusa was once a beautiful woman who served Athena. However, one fateful night after being raped by Poseidon, she was then cursed by Athena and transformed into a monster. For years, she lived in isolation, burning with the desire for revenge. Medusa sought alliances with other deities as she couldn't confront Athena. Ares, the god of war, taught her strategies and combat skills. Poseidon, who once had an ill-fated encounter with her, decided to provide her with an army of sea creatures as an apology. Nyx, the goddess of night, cloaked her in shadows, making her movements undetectable, and Hecate blessed her with immortality. She also began to build an army of stone warriors. As word of Medusa's growing power spread, Athena confronted Medusa herself. Medusa spent years studying Athena's weaknesses. The confrontation was swift. Medusa lured Athena into a hall of mirrors, distracting her. Medusa amplified her gaze, shattering Athena's shield and trapping her. Victorious, Medusa now sought justice from Zeus for Poseidon's actions. Impressed, Zeus made her queen of the sea. Why Athena is the worst goddess? Once there was a talented sculptor named Myron. His work was magnificent and claimed to be better than Athena's. This made Athena jealous, and she turned his best statue into just a shadow that could only copy others. As a result, Myron and his art ended up forgotten. Next up was Arachne, a young woman who was amazing at weaving. She was better than Athena. In her jealousy, Athena challenged her to a contest. Both created stunning pieces, but Arachne's tapestry was more beautiful than Athena's tapestry and mocked the gods. In her anger, Athena turned Arachne into a spider, forcing her to weave forever in the dark. Finally, there's Medusa, a beautiful priestess of Athena, who was wronged by Poseidon in Athena's temple. Instead of blaming Poseidon, Athena took out her anger on Medusa, turning her into a monster with snakes for hair and a gaze that turned people to stone. This showed how sometimes Athena used her power unfairly.
A woman who turned into a man. Venus was once a beautiful woman living a peaceful life, but her world shattered when she was assaulted by the god Poseidon. In her pain and desire to never feel powerless again, Poseidon granted her a wish. She chose to become a man, strong, unbreakable, and invulnerable to any weapon. And thus, Caeneus was born, a fearless warrior destined for legend. As Caeneus, no weapon could harm him. He fought alongside the greatest warriors of Greece, feared by his enemies and admired by his allies. But his invincibility brought both fame and envy. In battle, his enemies grew furious when their weapons couldn't harm him, so they resorted to crushing him under a massive pile of tree trunks and stones. But even in death, Caeneus' story didn't end. After being buried under the weight of the trees, he transformed into a bird, flying away from the battlefield, forever a symbol of strength and transformation. Even Hercules assaulted a beautiful woman like his uncle Poseidon. Auge was a devoted priestess of Athena, sworn to a life of virtue and service. But her fate took a tragic turn when Heracles arrived in Tegea, and she became a victim of his unwanted attention. Cast out by her father and exiled from her homeland, Auge gave birth to a son, Telephus, destined for greatness. Exiled and abandoned, Auge wandered alone, clinging to life. Protected by divine intervention, she found refuge in a foreign land. Meanwhile, Telephus was discovered by King Corythus of Mysia, who raised the boy as his own, unaware of his true parentage. Years later, Telephus would become a warrior king, seeking out his lost mother. Auge's exile turned into a path of resilience and reunion. A man who turned into a woman. Tiresias was a respected man, but one day he crossed paths in the forest with two meeting snakes and he struck them. This act enraged goddess Hera, and she turned him into a woman. Tiresias lived as a woman, getting married and even becoming a priestess. For 7 years, Tiresias embraced life as a woman, but one day she encountered the snakes again, and this time, as she struck, transformed back into a man. After this, Tiresias was invited by the gods to settle a debate about which gender experiences more pleasure during intercourse. Tiresias responded, "Women experience 10 times more pleasure than men." His answer enraged Hera, who blinded Tiresias on the spot. But Zeus, feeling guilty, granted him the gift of prophecy, making him one of the most famous seers in Greek mythology.
Why did Perseus turn Atlas, the mighty titan who held up the heaven, into stone? Perseus, a hero fresh from his victory over the fearsome Medusa, was making his way home. He carried Medusa's head, capable of turning anyone into stone, tucked safely in his bag. On his journey, he encountered Atlas, a huge guy who held up the sky. Atlas was afraid of the prophecy that a son of Zeus would bring about his downfall, and he was sure that Perseus might be the one. Nervous and unwilling to take any risks, Atlas demanded that Perseus leave. leave. Perseus was tired and wanted to rest, so he got mad when Atlas refused him. Quickly, Perseus showed Atlas Medusa's head. Atlas looked at it and instantly turned to stone, growing into a colossal mountain. Even though Perseus was angry, turning Atlas into a mountain helped him. Atlas, who once bore the exhausting burden of holding up the sky, could now find peace and rest as a mountain. In a way, Perseus gave Atlas a break from his tough job. How did Perseus rescue Andromeda from a terrifying sea beast? After defeating Medusa and acquiring her head, Perseus, equipped with winged sandals, was flying over the coast of Ethiopia. Suddenly, he saw a horrifying sight. Andromeda, a beautiful princess, chained to a rock by her parents as a sacrifice to appease the sea god Poseidon. She was about to be devoured by the monstrous Cetus. Swiftly, Perseus swooped down from the sky, drawing his sword. Cetus, a massive, fearsome beast with rows of sharp teeth, lunged towards Andromeda. Perseus positioned himself between Andromeda and the monster, ready to fight. Realizing his sword was not enough to defeat the monster, Perseus quickly unveiled Medusa's head toward the sea creature. The beast instantly turned to stone. As the monster turned to stone and fell into the sea, Perseus quickly freed Andromeda from her chains. Perseus and Andromeda, having shared such a dramatic moment, fell in love. The king and queen, grateful for Perseus's bravery, blessed their union.
If Perseus had already turned Atlas into stone, how would Hercules have encountered him during one of his labors? Atlas, cursed to hold up the heavens, plays a crucial role in Hercules' 12 labors and tries to trick Hercules into taking a break from his duty. Both Perseus and Hercules are sons of Zeus from mortal women, but Hercules is the great-grandson of Perseus. Zeus and Princess Danae made Perseus, and Perseus married Anaxo, the daughter of King Alcaeus, and gave birth to Alcmene. Furthermore, Alcmene and Zeus gave birth to Hercules. This creates controversy in mythology. If Perseus had already killed Atlas by turning him into stone using Medusa's head, then Hercules would have never had the opportunity to interact with the Titan, throwing off the balance of his 12 labors.
The ultimate showdown, Athena versus Poseidon. Who will rule Athens? In ancient Athens, the people needed a main god to protect them as the city grew. Poseidon, tired of his sea kingdom and curious about the beauties and women in the town, went to Athens. When Poseidon arrived, he announced his desire to rule the city, while Athena, determined to own the city for herself, firmly resisted his claim. Both desired to rule the city, setting the stage for an epic rivalry. They decided to seek Zeus's judgment. Zeus decided on a contest. Each god would present their best gift. The winner would become Athens' special god. Poseidon went first. With a mighty swing of his trident, a massive water spring erupted from the ground, but the water was salty like seawater and undrinkable. Then it was Athena's turn. She gifted them an olive tree. The tree gave them olives to eat, oil for cooking, and wood for building. The people loved Athena's gift and rejected Poseidon's gift. Athena's gift won, and the people chose her as their special goddess. They named their city Athens after her and built a huge temple in her honor.
Meet the top 5 most amazing giants from Greek tales. First, we have Argus, the 100-eyed giant. Argus was a vigilant guardian, with his eyes never all sleeping. During the rescue of Io, Argus was slain by Hermes. Another remarkable giant is Geryon, a fearsome warrior with 3 bodies. He owned a herd of magnificent red cattle, which Hercules was tasked to capture. Geryon gave Hercules a tough time, but was ultimately slain by him. Then there's Polyphemus, the Cyclops from Homer's Odyssey, famous for his encounter with Odysseus. Polyphemus trapped Odysseus in his cave, but Odysseus managed to escape by blinding Polyphemus. Also, we have Cacus, a fire-breathing giant who lived in a cave on Aventine Hill. He terrorized the area until he was defeated by Hercules, who choked him to death to retrieve his stolen cattle. Finally, Briareus, also named Aegeon, was one of the Hecatoncheires, with 100 arms and 50 heads. He was incredibly strong and assisted Zeus during the Battle of Titanomachy.
Meet the top 5 most powerful gods from Greek mythology. First up, we have Ares, the Greek god of war. Ares is all about fierce battles and raw power. He's the god you'd want on your side in a fight. His presence on the battlefield made enemies tremble with fear. Next, we move to Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea. Poseidon rules the oceans with his mighty trident. He can create huge storms and massive waves. Sailors prayed to him for safe travels because his mood could mean life or death for them. Third on our list is Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. Hades rules over the realm of the dead. He controls the spirits of the deceased, and his mysterious dark aura makes him one of the most feared gods. Now let's talk about Zeus, the king of gods. Zeus is the god of the sky and thunder. He uses lightning bolts as weapons and keeps order among the gods. His strength and wisdom make him the most powerful god. Finally, we have Nyx, the Greek goddess of the night. Nyx is a mysterious and powerful deity who represents the darkness. Even Zeus is said to have feared her. The time when Zeus was dethroned by its own family. Zeus, the king of the gods, was notorious for his infidelities and harsh rule. Tired of his unfair ways, his wife Hera decided it was time for a change. She secretly teamed up with Poseidon, god of the sea, and Athena, goddess of wisdom, for rebellion. One quiet night, when Zeus was sleeping peacefully, Poseidon tied him up with strong, unbreakable chains. Athena watched over him, sure of their victory, but they started arguing with each other for the throne. Thetis, a sea goddess loyal to Zeus, uncovered the plot. She called for help from a giant Briareus with 100 hands. Briareus uses his immense strength to break Zeus free. The rebellion was crushed. Zeus, though initially enraged, decided only to forgive Athena. However, Hera, the mastermind behind the coup, was hung from the sky with golden chains, but later, Hera made promises to behave differently, and Zeus forgave her. Poseidon was forced to serve the mortal king for 2 years. Peace was restored on Mount Olympus, but the scars of rebellion remained. Top 5 gods who can destroy Kratos. First, we have Odin, the Norse Allfather. With his vast knowledge and magical abilities, Odin could foresee Kratos' moves and outsmart him in battle. His mastery of runes and magic would be key in turning the tides against Kratos. Next, Ra, the Egyptian sun god. Ra's control over light and heat could overwhelm Kratos with blinding light and scorching solar energy. Then, we have Perun, the Slavic god of thunder and lightning. Perun's ability to summon storms and strike with lightning could disrupt Kratos' attacks and overwhelm him with elemental force. Also, there's Amaterasu, the Japanese sun goddess. Her divine ability to control light and heat could blind and burn Kratos. As the ruler of the heavens, her celestial powers would give Kratos a tough time. Finally, we have Nyx, the Greek primordial goddess of the night. Nyx's control over darkness can use the power of the night to create illusions and manipulate shadows that could obscure Kratos' vision and movements. These gods could give Kratos a run for his money. What do you think? Top 5 most legendary weapons from Greek tales. 1. Zeus's thunderbolt, the ultimate weapon of the king of the gods, capable of massive destruction. Zeus wielded this lightning bolt to assert his dominance over both gods and mortals. 2. Poseidon's trident. This powerful trident could cause earthquakes and tsunamis, ruling the seas. Poseidon used it to maintain control over the ocean and all its creatures. 3. Hades's helm of darkness. This helmet made the wearer invisible, even to the gods. Hades used it to move unseen, allowing him to rule the underworld without interference. 4. Aegis, the shield carried by Athena and sometimes Zeus, symbolizing protection and power. The Aegis was feared on the battlefield, often depicted as bearing the head of Medusa. 5. Cronus' scythe, the sickle used by Cronus to overthrow his father, Uranus. This weapon symbolizes the brutal power struggles of the Titans and the cyclical nature of time and destiny. 5 Greek goddesses whose beauty is unmatched. 5. Selene, the goddess of the moon. Known for her serene and ethereal beauty, Selene drives her moon chariot across the night sky, embodying the quiet, captivating allure of the moonlight. 4. Eos, the goddess of the dawn. Eos is described as having rosy fingers and golden wings, bringing the first light of day to the world with her radiant beauty. 3. Persephone, the goddess of spring and queen of the underworld. Her beauty captivated Hades, leading to her abduction and creation of seasons. 2. Hebe, the goddess of youth, portrayed as a beautiful young woman, representing eternal youth and vitality. She also served as the cup-bearer of the gods. 1. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, and desire. She is often regarded as the most beautiful of all the goddesses, with the power to enchant gods and mortals alike. Which one is your crush? Comment.
5 Greek gods that were actually nice. 1. Hades, the god of the underworld and the dead. Even though he ruled the underworld, Hades was fair and helped heroes who asked for his help. Unlike his brother Zeus, he was very loyal to his wife, Persephone, and always treated her with respect. 2. Prometheus, the titan of fire and a clever trickster. Prometheus loved humans and helped them by giving them fire, even though Zeus didn't want him to and was punished by him. 3. Asclepius, the god of medicine and healing. Asclepius was like the best doctor ever. He could heal people, take away their pain, and even bring back them from death. 4. Hebe, the goddess of youth and cup-bearer of gods. Hebe was responsible and helpful. She looked after the gods by serving them and caring for their needs. She represented the beauty and energy of life, full of youth. 5. Hestia, the goddess of the hearth, home, and family. Hestia was kind and gentle. She cared for families and ensured everyone felt safe and happy at home.
These kings face the worst divine punishments. At number 6, Sisyphus, the king who tricked death itself. His punishment? An eternity pushing a boulder up a hill. Number 5, Tantalus. He served the meat of his own son to the gods and was cursed to eternal hunger and thirst, with water and fruit always just out of reach. At number 4, Lycaon. He served the flesh of his son to Zeus and was transformed into a ravenous wolf. Number 3, Salmoneus. He impersonated Zeus by mimicking thunder and lightning. Zeus struck him down with a real thunderbolt. At number 2, to Erysichthon. After killing tree nymph sacred to Demeter, he was cursed with an endless hunger, leading him to devour everything, even himself. And at number 1, King Ixion. He dared to lust after Zeus's wife, Hera. As punishment, he was bound to a fiery wheel for eternity in Tartarus.
The fatal gift of the gold, a king's tragic curse. King Midas was a wealthy ruler of Phrygia. He had everything a king could want, but he always desired more. One day, his servants found a drunken old man in Midas's garden and brought him to the king. Recognizing him as Silenus, the loyal follower of Dionysus, Midas treated him with great hospitality. In gratitude for Midas's kindness, Dionysus, the god of wine, offered to grant Midas one wish. Midas wished that everything he touched would turn into gold. At first, Midas was ecstatic with his new power, thinking it would make him even richer. But soon, he realized it was a curse. His food and drink turned into gold, making it impossible for him to eat or drink. Even worse, when he hugged his daughter, she turned into a golden statue. Overwhelmed with sorrow, Midas begged Dionysus to take away his powers. Feeling pity for him, Dionysus instructed Midas to wash in the river Pactolus. Midas hurried to the river and bathed, and the river's flow erased his cursed gift along with his greed. The sands of the river turned into gold, and since then, the river Pactolus has been famous for its golden sands.
This is the moment Odysseus confronts the spirits of the dead. What fate awaits him? Odysseus stands at the edge of the world where the sun never shines. Following Circe's cryptic advice, he prepares to enter the underworld. To return to Ithaca, he must seek out Tiresias, the blind prophet who holds the key to his fate. With sword in hand, Odysseus performs the dark rituals needed to summon the spirits, his heart heavy as he awaits the arrival of the dead. The spirits begin to emerge and drift towards Odysseus. First comes Elpenor, a fallen comrade begging for a proper burial. But Odysseus has no time, he must press on. Next, he sees his mother, Anticlea, but he still resists. Finally, the blind prophet Tiresias rises from the shadows and reveals the dangers that lie ahead, the deadly sirens, the wrath of Poseidon, and the cursed cattle of Helios. Odysseus listens intently, knowing that his survival depends on every word. Odysseus leaves the dark world of the dead behind. Every step he takes back to the land of the living is filled with determination.
Meet Aristeus, the Greek god of bees. Aristeus was born to the huntress Cyrene and the god Apollo. Raised on nectar and ambrosia, he was trained by the myrtle nymphs in skills like food preparation, hunting, farming, and most importantly, beekeeping. With the power of the gods, he became the protector of bees. But when his bees mysteriously died, possibly due to divine retribution, Aristeus sought guidance from the nymphs. They told him to appease the gods by sacrificing animals. After following their advice, his bees were miraculously reborn, restoring his divine power and bond with nature.
The Greek warriors, famous for their beauty and strength. The Amazons are a fierce tribe of warrior women. It all started with Otrera, a mortal who impressed Ares, the god of war. They had many daughters. Hippolyta, one of the daughters, became queen, wearing a magical belt gifted by Ares. Then came Hercules. For his 9th labor, he needed that belt. Hippolyta offered it willingly, but Hera, queen of the gods, spread a lie. Thinking Hercules was attacking, the Amazons fought. In the chaos, Hippolyta was killed by Hercules. After Hippolyta's death, her sister Antiope became prominent. But Theseus, the Greek hero, kidnapped Antiope. The Amazons, enraged, launched an attack on Athens. Sadly, Antiope tragically died during the siege. Later, Penthesilea, another queen and sister of Hippolyta, led the Amazons into the Trojan War. She faced Achilles in a fierce duel, but was slain. Seeing her lifeless, Achilles felt regret, struck by her beauty and strength.
Norse gods versus Greek gods. Who would emerge victorious? The Greek gods, led by their powerful king Zeus, are immortal and possess incredible abilities. Zeus once encircled the entire world with a massive golden chain. On the other hand, Norse Thor wields his mighty hammer, Mjolnir, and can summon thunderstorms to level mountains and turn the landscape into valley. However, unlike the Greek gods, Thor can die, as seen in the ultimate battle, Ragnarok. Although the Greek gods' immortality could give them an edge in a mythical showdown, the Norse gods display undeniable bravery in facing their destinies. What are your thoughts on this? Please share them in the comments below.
Remember when Perseus turned Atlas into stone? Perseus wandered the lands, carrying the cursed head of Medusa. He approached the mighty Titan Atlas, who held the heavens on his shoulders. Seeking shelter, Perseus pleaded, but Atlas, who hated Zeus because Zeus condemned him to hold up the sky for eternity, refused Perseus as he is Zeus's son and roared,
"Begone, mortal! No hero nor god may pass here."
Frustrated and exhausted, Perseus revealed Medusa's head. When Atlas gazed upon it, his massive form turned to stone, transforming into a towering mountain, though it seemed cruel. In fact, as a mountain, Atlas was finally free from the pain of his endless burden. But this tale raises a puzzling contradiction in mythology. If Perseus turned Atlas into stone, how did his great-grandson Hercules meet Atlas during his 11th labor? Did the myths overlap?
How does Greek mythology end? The end concludes with the rise of Ares, the god of war. Born to Zeus and Hera, Ares was destined for conflict. Ares liked violence and was the opposite of his sister, Athena, who preferred peace. Due to blood trust and the chaotic nature of Ares, his dad Zeus and other gods start boycotting him. Unbothered, Ares decided to unleash terror upon the world. With his loyal companions, Phobos Fear, Deimos Terror, Eris Discord, and Enyo Destruction, Ares massacred the lands of Thrace, turning rivers into streams of blood. Even Ares' wife Aphrodite, though unhappy with his actions, could not leave him. The Olympians, furious at his actions, declared war on Ares. However, Ares' might was unmatched. He defeated Athena, Poseidon, and Kratos, and hence Olympus fell. Even in defeat, Zeus did not lose his throne and demanded peace. In the aftermath, Ares demanded that no god would interfere in the world of mortals. Zeus agreed and sealed the doors between Olympus and the earth, ending an era.
Ares didn't end Greek mythology. This myth is wrong. Ares, the god of war, supposedly destroyed the gods and ended Greek mythology with a bloody rampage. But that's far from the real story. Ares was a fierce war god, born to Zeus and Hera. His father Zeus didn't even respect him, considering Ares' violent nature a disgrace. Despite his thirst for war, Ares was never powerful enough to conquer Olympus. In mythology, Ares clashed fiercely with his sister Athena, the goddess of wisdom, during the Trojan War, where Athena even managed to wound him. Ares has several children like Phobos, the god of fear, Deimos, the god of terror, and Harmonia, the goddess of harmony, from her lover Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty despite her marriage to Hephaestus. Ares also showed his sense of honor when he killed Poseidon's son Halirrhothius to protect his daughter Alcippe from harm, revealing a protective side, especially toward women. The end of Greek mythology is often considered to be the aftermath of the Trojan War, a conflict between Greece and Troy. Logically, the true end of Greek mythology came later with the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire. As Christianity spread, it replaced the old Greek religion.